Hello everyone, welcome to the Learning Curve SG, the channel where we talk about everything and anything related to PE as well as learning. Today we are very lucky to have Francis Tang over here with me, who is a senior PESTA officer, to talk about empowering our learners. Maybe Francis, let me get the ball rolling by asking you, why are you always advocating to empower students in their learning?
Okay, so we teach
yes.
in secondary schools, right?
Yeah.
So when students are in these teenage years, the brain is developing. So that's the time where students are actually learning how to make decisions. And I remember when I was younger, at this age, 13, 14, I don't like to be micromanaged. I don't like parents to give me instruction. I want to make the decision myself. I felt good to make my own decision. So when I put myself in the student's shoe, right, I also think that maybe they also like to be empowered. They like the autonomy to make decisions.
Yes, I think I totally agree with you, and it's a very keen observation. And over the years of teaching, I've also noticed that students who are around the age of 13 to 16, they give you the feeling they want to go out and try things on their own. And they don't like to be binded by too much red tape, too much control over them. I guess this is something natural that comes to them when their brains, like you rightfully mentioned, develop at this particular age range. Let me move on to another question to help me understand deeper on what actually motivate you to believe so strongly in student empowerment, because I see your lessons, right? Your students are always given the opportunity to try things on their own.
Okay, I remember when I was a beginning teacher, right, I was very task oriented. So I always think that if the task, the lesson plan, if we ask students to do the learning task that is fun, engaging, right, they will be motivated.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. So I spent a lot of time designing tasks, asking people to give me what ideas, creative ideas. But students are not motivated. I remember the first 2 years, right? No matter what I do, right, students are still not motivated. Then I remember the third year, there was this very challenging class that I could never manage them. The only thing I can do is let them play what they want to play. Then there was this time that I think I had a flu. Then I lost my voice, and there was no voice. I couldn't speak at all. Then I remember I need to say something to the students. So I wrote down a very simple lesson plan. Like today, need to learn volleyball. What are you going to learn today? Then when I reached there, right, then I just tell the students, no voice, no voice. Then they, what do you want? What do you want? Cher, what do you want? Suddenly, I sense that they are very caring towards me. They see when I can talk, right, they're very defiant. But when they see me sick, they're very caring.
Irony.
Yeah, then I just give them a lesson plan. Help me do this, help me do this. Then just do this, do this. Suddenly, they conducted a lesson by themselves. And then suddenly, that was the first time I saw a lesson, a PE lesson, which was conducted by the students. This is the first time I finally managed to teach them a proper lesson. And it was not taught by me, it was taught by the students. So that was where I started to realize, actually students, whenever they are very defiant, right, there could be a reason. There could be a reason why they're defiant. Maybe at home, parents are controlling them like mad. They are not given any opportunity, not autonomy. Everything they do when they exams results or they'll do something wrongly, then the parents will always scold them. And because the parents scold them, the parents don't believe in them, don't trust them, the parents control them even more. Don't give them even less autonomy. So I can imagine myself, if every day I go home, some adult is trying to control me. And every time they see me do something wrong, they give me less freedom to do what I want to do. And suddenly I felt like I've been controlled. And I can never get out of this controlled place that people are always controlling me. So suddenly a teacher asked me to lead, take the lead. A teacher asked me to teach the lesson. And the teacher trusts me, right? Suddenly I felt like, I felt good. I felt like, oh, teacher trusts me.
I can empathize on what you have shared because, like you, when I first started off teaching, I was very controlling also. I was always shouting at my students, telling them that you're not doing it right, you must do exactly what I say. And I think in the long run, I can sense that my students may comply, but they are just going through the motions as to what I told them to do. And for myself, I feel that I get very tired after probably a few weeks of shouting, of raising my voice to ensure that they comply to my instructions all the time. Yeah, I may be able to do that for the first 3 to 4 weeks of the term, but by the 5th to 6th week, I am already tired, and like yourself, I also lost my voice. And from the stories that you have shared, I can sense that the students yearn to want to show competence towards their teachers and also towards their friends. But if they are not given autonomy, how are they able to actually show their competence to their teachers and also to their peers also? And I also hear that when students are not given any room to make any mistakes, I feel that they will not be able to learn well. And when they cannot learn from mistakes and they are just scolded for doing the wrong things, how are they going to get that impetus to want to make the corrections and actually improve on what they are supposed to learn? Lastly, from the story that you have shared, I feel that trust is also something that is very important, especially if we want to give students autonomy and to let them show competence on their learning. Maybe can you also share with us what are some special formula or ingredients that you have used to help your students feel empowered and motivated during your PE lessons? Because when I observe your lessons, they are always very hungry to learn and help one another.
I mean, like you say, motivation is very important. Motivation to be self-directed. How often do we ask a student to practice something at home and all of them will practice at home?
Yes.
Yeah, it's almost very little, right? Ask them to run more, they won't run more. Right? So when we think about it, actually it's they need to feel confident. They need to believe that they can. And I feel that the belief is so important. You cannot just say, okay, everything, today you all learn all this by yourself. I think the whole lesson will be very messy. And then you felt like they're not learning anything. Some of them will be walking around, don't want to do anything. The important thing is they need to feel confident about themselves, that they can learn first. If they don't feel confident, right, they will follow their friends. And if their friend also not confident, their friend also won't do anything. Then don't learn. So the thing is, I believe that the first few weeks or the first 1 or 2 months, right, that confidence, the self-belief is so important that they need to believe that they can. So the first 1 or 2 months, right, every lesson, if you say 1 or 2 months, is almost like 10 lessons really. One whole module of.
Yes.
I will spend the whole module, especially when they were set one. I'll spend the whole module, or especially when they were set ones, right, to focus on the self-belief, the confidence, or the awareness that their friends need help. I want them to build bond together. If I see a class that is not bonded and their student-to-student relationship is not good, right, I want to spend the whole 2 months just to focus on that. Once the class is very motivated and they like each other, then they can. So when I enter the class, right, I look at the whole class. I don't focus on, I focus on LO, but my whole intention, my teaching intention is really to get the class together, to make them feel belief in themselves. So I'll look at the class. Are they motivated? If they're not motivated, I gather them and then give them a pep talk. Say, you believe yourself, you just try. Okay, now I let you try, help one another. I always make it easy, get in pairs, and I give you a learning goal, and then by the end of 10 minutes, you try to achieve the learning goal. Keep it simple, like for example, basketball, try to shoot in five times. Try to shoot in 5 times your partner. I'm not going to teach you how. I believe you can do it by yourself. Try. Fail is okay. Just try. Just then go. Then I look at them. Then I try not to go to them and try to correct their mistakes. I try to let them be the one. Then if I think that they are still not motivated, right, then I gather them again and then I'll talk to them again. Then I'll talk to, why do you know that it's so stressful to learn basketball? Now, do you know? Then I just keep telling them how stressful it can be to learn something. Then sometimes I will share stories about myself. Like, wow, last time I learned math. When I don't know how to do a question, then I try to look at my friends' work. My friend will cover their, don't let me copy, or my teacher will scold me for copying, that kind of thing. So I'll just tell them, it's very stressful. Can you please help one another? Can you please help? I was repeating this sentence over and over again for many, many lessons. Then go. I'll give them a learning goal, and then you go and learn by yourself. I try not to give them too many instructions or try not to teach them too many things. This is always they try to achieve it by themselves, Then after some time, see, you can learn by yourself, right? You see, I didn't teach you much things, right? You all the learning is by yourself, right? I hope that by 2 months, they achieve this confidence that I can one. If I want to learn football, I can learn by myself. If I want to learn basketball, I can learn by myself. Then later on, it will be easier to teach. Yeah. So I believe the first 2 months is so important, especially secondary one.
Yeah, sounds like yeah. Thank you for sharing. Sounds like I think the foundation towards empowering students, right, is to build a class culture where the students believe in themselves and they are very willing to help one another. And I hear that they need to also feel confident. And how you build them, right? You actually take time, almost 8 to 10 weeks in building the confidence. And how you go about doing it is to give them the space to actually learn to make decisions on their own and to help one another. So even if they make the mistakes, you tell them that it is okay. But how are you challenge them on how can they actually adjust themselves to improve on the mistakes which they've made, or you can get their friends to actually encourage the peer who made the mistakes to do something to help correct the mistakes so that he can improve. So I think in order to build confidence, I feel that the key thing that you have shared is that you have to allow the time and the space for the students to decide on how they learn, as well as to make mistakes. And as they make the mistakes, encourage them to push them for onwards, to tell them it's okay to make mistakes, because if they don't make mistakes, they don't learn. I mean, am I right to roughly summarize what you have said? Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, but the key concern for quite a lot of teachers is that when they empower students, they may feel or think that they might lose control of the class, and the students may not be able to learn anything. Because when I want to empower my students, I need to give them autonomy and freedom, isn't it? Yeah, but when autonomy and freedom is being given to the students, let them have choice and voice in their learning, I think there is a fear that the lesson might go haywire, teacher might lose control, and therefore learning cannot take place properly. Would you happen to have any advice on such concerns?
Yeah, I also afraid of messiness. I'm also afraid that I will lose control. I think it's normal. It's normal for all teachers to feel that way.
Yeah.
So that's why I say the first 2 months, I must believe they can. So it's not only they believe they can, but I also must believe that they can. So I always spend a lot of time assessing the whole environment, whether it's safe, whether they are afraid of failure, whether they are making fun of each other, all these are very, very important. If I let them go out and practice the different skills by themselves, they're going to make fun of each other. They're going to judge, and sometimes it gets so messy and so noisy, right? Students with autism cannot handle it. Then they'll get very angry. Then they'll have all the anger management problem already. So that's why it's very important that the first 2 months, right? It's always like, what is this learning goal? You work in your pairs and achieve this, or work in your groups and achieve this. Then later on, right, if I think they can, then, like for example, after a volleyball game, then I'll ask them, okay, after a volleyball game, what is the skill that you think you are lacking in? You want to practice, you go and practice yourself.
Okay.
So this kind of thing is really quite freedom really. You decide what you want to. And these are times that it can be quite messy one. Then I need to believe that it's going to be orderly. So students are going to be motivated and want to learn by themselves.
Yes.
By then, we have a lot of lessons of like they learn in their groups, their pairs, and that give me a confidence. If that I'll let them try, it's still messy and it's still rowdy, right? My eyes will be looking at whether they are rowdy. Are they laughing at their friends? Like for example, volleyball, right? Sometimes when they hit so hard, and then their friends will run. Their partner find it very difficult to receive the ball or return the ball, right? Then that is like a small little fire that is coming already, and we don't want to wait for the fire to go out, right? Become bigger, right? So I'll gather the whole class again. Then I will just tell the whole class, I let you try because I believe in you. I don't take my kindness as my weakness. Then I believe that everybody has different problems. If you have different problems, you solve the problem. And I believe that you can solve the problem by yourself. If you go out there and then you start to do funny things, you start to hit so hard, then your friend cannot return. Then all the time your friend is just picking up the ball. then what will you become good at the end of the lesson? You become better ball picker only. You're not better volleyball player. Even if I have to spend some time talking about it, I will spend some time talking about it. I don't care what people say about active time, because I believe that once your mindset is developed to believe that they can do it by themselves and they can be self-directed and everybody is self-directed, right? They will be fully engaged throughout the lesson. Yeah, so all these are problems, but I think these are things that we have to do as a teacher to build their self-directedness, to build their problem-solving skills. All these are important things that they need to learn.
Yes.
Yeah, once they have this, they really enjoy learning, because the teacher trusts me. The teacher give me autonomy. I solve problems. Every time I have problems, my friend beside will help me. When I can't play the game well, my friend will modify the game's rule to make it easier for me. And every time my friend will definitely pass the ball to me or encourage me to try again. Then the lesson will be very fun. I will enjoy the lesson.
Okay. Yeah. So everyone, I think we can hear from what Francis has mentioned, that it is normal to have concerns that the lesson, might be very messy, or it might go haywire if, let's say, we give students too much autonomy. But like what Francis has rightfully mentioned, it is not totally about giving students free rein in the lesson without any conditions at all. There are actually boundaries that has to be set for the lesson itself, how they interact and so on and so forth with one another. But I think the effort in assessing how the students are actually interacting with one another during the lesson is really important. So if we feel that they are not interacting properly, we must call them back and then address the issue. But of course, if it's only like a handful here and there, those interaction issues has to be addressed there and then during the lesson also. And what came out really very strong in your sharing is the idea that you really believe that your students are able to learn on their own, to be independent learners, and they can help one another learn better as well. I think this is a very positive belief, and it's coming out very strongly in you. And I also hear that you will tell your students this belief that you have. And I think this creates this positive self-fulfilling prophecy called the Pygmalion effect, whereby if the adult or the teacher believes the positive in the student or the learner, the student has a higher chance of reciprocating that positive belief and do the positive things that you want the students to learn. And this creates a virtuous cycle where the students build up the positive habits, therefore positive behavior, and eventually the positive character that we want them to have. And you can only do that when you empower them by giving them the autonomy, which is the space and time to make their decisions on their own learning. You give them the opportunity to work with their friends to help one another, so that they develop the strong bond and relatedness with one another. Because we all know nobody can learn simply everything on their own. We are built as social beings also, so we should be helping one another. And when the autonomy and the relatedness are done properly already, it creates the environment, the condition for them to display their competence. So even if they are just beginners, they are willing to try out the skill which maybe puts them, in a not so nice light, because they're not very skillful, but they're willing to try because the environment is already very safe for them to show autonomy. They can decide on how the progress of their own learning. When they decide the progress of their own learning with the help of their friends, right, they are more willing to show how well they are actually doing a particular task. And I think as long as this goes on, right, over time, they will want to continue to progress on and on, to showcase greater competence, which is in our lessons or in our subject area, right, is either the skill display or the tactical or strategical display during game. And I can see very clearly that we must first start off. We must first start off with believing in our students. Once we believe in our students that they can learn on their own and they can help one another learn, we provide them the autonomy, time and space to go about doing their learning activities and to help one another. And then We emphasize that they work together so that they learn from one another and they help one another learn. And when these two ingredients are there, the chances of the students being more willing to show their competence progressively becomes higher. Finally, is that we must constantly assess the situation, the interactions of our students. If our students go off tangent, we must definitely go towards them and give them the feedback and tell them that, hey, this is against the positive belief that or the positive culture that we want our class to have. Yeah. I don't know whether I summarized properly what you have shared, but I feel very inspired by what you have shared also. Yeah, seriously. I think that's about all I have to ask or to pick your brains with regards to empowering students. But before we go off, would you happen to have one nugget of wisdom or knowledge that you wish to share with our audience?
It's whatever you share, lor. I cannot say enough of the word belief in the students. It's really, really belief that we have to believe, then we will do it. If you don't believe, we won't do it. People always say Einstein dropped out of school. Einstein has special needs. Even Michael Jordan have ADHD and also drop out of school. So if all these students are in our class, then we see them daydreaming, hyperactive, not focusing. So do we believe that they can? Are we able to allow them to learn by themselves?
Yeah.
Imagine Einstein is there. You see this person daydreaming all the time. Then you ask then will you have the belief that, okay, Einstein, I give you a learning goal, you go and learn by yourself. Would I dare to do it? Because if you believe it, you can. And of course, when we ask them to go out there and learn by themselves, because they don't have the habit of doing that, so it will fail. So they will mess up. So they will argue or what. Then it's okay. We have to tell ourselves that it's okay and gather them and talk to them. Convince them that they can and try again. So all these things are like keep on doing until they show us what we believe in. Yeah, like I would say our self-fulfilling prophecy, right? The more we believe in them, the more they believe in themselves. The one I can never say enough of this. I keep telling teachers that the belief is so important.
Okay, well said. So the one thing that we should take away from today's podcast is that we must believe in the positive in our students. All right, I think that's the end of our podcast. And if you happen to like this episode, to give a like, share, and subscribe so that more teachers can benefit from the content that we are sharing. With that, see you in the next one. All right,
Thank you.
bye-bye.